All right. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Double B Creates. We have another gentleman today who is a business consultant out of San Diego. He owns Shift Magazine, and he's an 8-time author, as well as he has his PhD and he's active military. Military. My voice cut out. Pinky out. So anyway, this is Rob Garcia, and thank you for hopping on, man.
Yeah, not a problem. I'm glad you guys asked me, and I know we've talked before about doing this, so I apologize. It took a while, the holidays and the such.
Yeah, I think the last time I asked you, you were on active duty. So.
Yeah, I did a little sixer in the Middle East in 2018. That was a blast. It's always such a fun place to visit.
I see what you did there. It's a blast.
Yeah, I can see that.
So let's kick this off by having you tell people where they can find you, all of your websites, your books, stuff like that.
Yeah. So the main site is yournextlevelsuccess.com. You can watch my business videos on there. You can find free information for helping you generate income within your business. So that's the main one. People know me from my Facebook group, which is Success Engineers with Dr.Rob. So I run that every day, and free business training, contests, giveaways. Very intimate location. It's like 650 members. So we all kind of know each other like family. And then my main course is called Tactical CEQ. It's at tacticalceqcourse.com. 6 weeks training, learning how to essentially pivot from being a business expert to an industry leader by doing better social media interviews like this, stuff like that.
Very cool. And you mentioned the Success Engineers. I mean, I agree that it's pretty tight knit. I mean, we already had Dalbo on, Dudek just hopped on. Now we've got you. Richard Kaufman's coming on here soon. So, I mean,
that's great. So the next conversation we need to have, and I'll hook you up with this one for free, is sponsors. Let's get you guys paid.
That's on our to-do list.
Next to-do list. We've actually built like a plan that we want to enact on.
Very cool. I'm 4-0 for getting sponsors for podcasts. My record is about 5 in one day for each podcast.
Jeez.
Wow.
So I got the process down. So yeah, I'll be happy to help you with you guys, and I won't charge you because I know you.
Heck
That's
yeah,
awesome.
That's awesome.
And you had mentioned like there's a lot of free content and stuff on your website. I mean, honestly, I've never paid Rob a dime, and well, no, I gave you $10, but it wasn't for you. So, I mean, and I've known you for what, 2 years, 3 years, something like that.
It's been a while. I thought I knew you when I was at the old apartment in North Park before I went to the Middle East.
Yeah,
and that was 3 years ago.
I've learned a shit ton from you. I mean, you did a live not too long ago that was like 5 things you need to increase your business, and I was just like, oh shit, that actually makes sense.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's I've seen a lot of growth in the last I've been doing this for about 4 years. That's when I started Shift, and I lived in a smaller apartment kind of up the street actually, and just the exponential growth has been amazing. And man, since I started like 3-4 years ago, I'm up to about 125 interviews, Fox News, CBS Radio, all this stuff, and the magazine's going well. I pop it out 4 times a year, and the quality of people that I'm rubbing elbows with, man, I'm always cultivating the network, right? I'm always like kicking inactive people out, and I'm just reaching out to people that are engaging and really into cross promotion. You guys have talked to Dudek and Dolbo and Kaufman. These guys are master connectors. Like, these are the guys that you want to surround yourself with, because they will promote your stuff. They will bring a Steve Sims to your podcast. They will introduce you to famous people they know, and they never want anything. They're just like, hey, I just do this because I love people. And they're 3 of the most genuine people I've ever met.
I agree. And I think that it's good. I mean, so many people are out there now that my chair's sinking again. Damn it. So many people are out there like, oh, I don't care who I step on. I'm just going to make money and screw everybody else. And they're just going to screw themselves in the long run.
Yeah. And I had to do a hard pivot because I was that guy because I didn't know any better when I first started. and I was trying to just sell to everybody. And I didn't have any brand credibility. Nobody knew who I was. I didn't even know what my own message was. I just knew I knew some business stuff. And I assumed because I had a PhD, I was smarter than everybody, and changed my mind on that one, buddy. you keep launching ebooks and courses and making zero sales. You're like, something's got to change. And so I focus really on the network. I focus on the connections, and I focus on being selfless and weeding out the people that didn't reciprocate. That's the big one. So one thing I do, it's a little bit different, is I've cut a lot of influencers and a couple of millionaires out of my network just because they didn't reciprocate. Like they don't play ball. They just show up for themselves. They're bragging about their money, their Bentley, their designer purses, all this stuff. I don't see them ever promoting other people. So, okay, bye. I don't even have time for that, because if you're in my network, it means you're actively trying to lift everyone up around you. That's my philosophy.
I think that's really good. I mean, is if you have a good culture of people that people want to be around, obviously it's going to generate
dad duties. Well,
Perimeter breach.
Yeah.
Redheads.
Oh,
right.
Man,
so,
what is that? That's 20-0?
Something like that, yeah.
No,
what he does is he knows I'm on the phone, and he loves Brad so much that he's like, he wants to come in and just say, "Hi, Brad." But anyway, I think a business is going to flourish a lot more if there's a decent culture built around it.
Yeah, and that's the thing I'm learning, man. And I've really been thinking about this the last couple of days, is not just having a company, but a brand. Not just having a business, but a brand. And you look at Apple, you look at like Black Rifle Coffee, Nike, whatever. And I really want to turn Rob the Warrior Strategist into something recognizable, something that people turn to it for business help, for business education, and I that's what I'm really trying to shift. And I've done a pretty good job of up-leveling it. I'm always working on like the photography and the messaging and the posts and being everywhere. But that's when you really know that you're creating like a social change. I don't know if you know my work with Dolbo, but Dolbo was in a bad spot, and I heard about him from a friend, and I raised like $2,600 for him in like 3 days. And I'm not trying to like brag or pat myself on the back, but it really showed me like, hey, Rob, you've actually come from a place where you can help people now and use this audience for good, And so I hosted this giant business seminar, sold tickets to it, and just a lot of people bought tickets, and I just gave it all to Mike. Like I took no money at all and just handed it over to him. So he got out of that vet shelter. Now he's in his room. He's doing his voiceover stuff. And I'm going to keep working with him, helping him out. He just wrote a great ebook too. So I think that's what building a brand is about the difference between a brand and a company or a business is actual, like getting involved in the community, like doing things hands-on and just helping somebody. And I think more people should do that.
Yeah. And I mean, I had mentioned this a couple episodes ago, there's like circles of people, right? So like you have like all the people that we mentioned, plus like Tamara and a bunch of other people. But then like you've got like Pat Hilton and Dave Daly and Sean Whalen over in this group, you know what I mean? And so I would like to try to bring all of it together. I think that would be really cool, instead of just having like little entrepreneurial circles.
Yeah. And that's why I started. This is so strange. This is why I started having these parties at my house. And I had the holiday party. I have like wine and cheese parties twice a month, but it's such a weird mix of people because it is guys like Dave Daly that will show up. It's military vets and entrepreneurs and just people that dig my vibe. And it's really been cool for me, man, because I live home alone. I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have pets. I just live here in this, the San Diego pad. And I like having people like hanging out and being social, and kind of gets me doing stuff other than sitting around playing 8-bit Castlevania, which is fun as hell.
Castlevania is awesome though.
As I had said that, I remembered that you did that live video with Dave sitting in your apartment.
Oh yeah. I interviewed Dave. He's been over a few times. I got Corey Poirier, who's a TEDx speaker, and he's pretty up there, man. And he came from Canada, and he's on this like crazy world tour, and he popped in San Diego, and he got on the couch, and we did an interview, and I've interviewed some pretty cool names, and I'm really happy that I'm at that level where people visit San Diego and they come and find me. So I'm like, wow, I've actually turned a corner. I'm getting somewhere.
Yeah. If I ever venture into California, I will definitely find you, but I don't see myself going there for a while.
It's so funny, like the vitriol that people have for California, right? And I totally get it. It's a weird state. We do things, a lot of things that just don't make sense. And the funniest thing ever is that Fox News hates California. Like they absolutely hate it. And when I read the comments, just all these people that don't live there just automatically assume that it's just all illegal immigrants just running wild. You're going to go to jail for 20 years if you have a gun. We're all dope smoking hippies that voted for Hillary Clinton. Just all these things. It's like, dude, it's nothing like that at all. Just God. Such an interesting thing. Just these notions that people have of it.
Well, it's funny too, because we're both in Utah.
Yeah.
And like I worked in a call center like during my teen years and stuff. Oh, where are you located? And I said, I'm in Utah. How many wives do you have? Shut up. Like, fuck you.
Yeah, it's that's the first thing I would assume, because Utah is also the MLM capital of the world. You guys probably know that, but it's where the majority of the big MLMs all center out of Utah, and then the Mormon thing. My friend Lacey Stark came down and visited me, and we sat out. We talked about Utah forever. It was great. I've been, I think, once, and it's an interesting place.
It's a lot like California. Like, it's so quirky, but I like it.
Yeah, and it's. I grew up. Okay, I live in San Diego, which is as far Southern California as you can get, and I grew up though in the northwestern tip in Humboldt County, Eureka, which is pot country, and it's like stepping into a Stephen King novel set in 1992 when you go to Humboldt County. The biggest addition to my town in the last 20 years, the biggest cultural addition was a Target, and that's where people go. There's a Target and there's like a Costco, and that's where you go on a Friday night. And that's where people go to talk, and the social epicenter, which is just crazy, dude. My town was nuts, and I couldn't get out fast enough.
Netflix actually just came out with like a year ago, a documentary about Humboldt.
The thing about Murder Mountain, right?
Yeah, Murder Mountain. That was it.
Yeah, I heard about that. And here's what's crazy about Humboldt. There are 5 unsolved cases where girls have just disappeared, gone, and it's almost always involved with drugs. It's something sketchy, like they either get involved in a cult or harvesting on someone's farm that they shouldn't. There's a lot of crime that goes on up there, and a lot of ways you can get away with stuff. They have found this is kind of morbid, but they have found like torsos in the slough.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
After watching that, it's funny because I mean that type of shit's everywhere, to be honest. But it just like they talk to all the locals, and they're like this tight knit community. It's just like a small town like the one I live in. But they portrayed it as like this big shithole, basically.
It kind of is. And I've been, I lived in Louisiana for a while. I've gone through Arkansas. I've visited South Carolina and the East Coast. So it's most interesting thing. It was most similar to North Carolina, believe it or not. I went to Fort Bragg for some Air Force courses, and just driving through North Carolina, I was like, this is very similar, like rural, a lot of trees, people, marrying their high school sweethearts at like 18. Just the small town mentality, of a rural lifestyle. I kind of get it. But yeah, it's definitely a challenging place to live, because the median income's like $23,000 a year. The only way you can make any type of livable wage is to work in the mill or to become a trucker, or work at Pelican Bay Prison. So it's just, when you have like very little industry going on anymore, it's just, you turn to drugs, or you turn to, just working an awful job somewhere. And so that's why I left, man. I was 19. I had nothing. And I left, and And the Air Force kind of straightened me out. And then I started my rise to glory. But
yeah, I mean, you've got a hell of a story. I mean, your upbringing and stuff like that. So
yeah, I appreciate that, man. I was just talking to my friend. I flew in a friend that I went to Eureka High School with this last weekend, and all we just went around, did touristy stuff, and we just told Eureka stories. And both of us had a lot of challenges to overcome, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I remember telling her that because it made me who I was. It made me angry. It made me motivated to finish my goals and to push myself. Because, dude, I'm not gonna lie, man. I never even thought I'd go to college. I didn't finish, but I never even thought I'd go to college, like get to college. And to be able to have all these opportunities and finish my MBA and finish my PhD in education, I mean, it just blows my mind. It shows if I can do it, anybody can do it. And, you know, whatever your thing is, doesn't have to be a PhD. It could just be being a better dad or, you know, starting a company or just writing a book. But I always encourage people, like, whatever scares you, go for it. There's no downside most times.
yeah, actually, I bought a book like 2 years ago that I forgot about until you just said whatever scares you, go for it. That it says, do something every day that scares you. Yeah. And it's 365 pages, and you go through it, and it tells you, you know, think of something that this and that and that, and then you write down you basically journal in this book. I need to go find it. I'm gonna go through it. I think that's gonna be my 2020 New Year's resolution or whatever the fuck.
You have to send me that book. That'd be awesome. I'll have to do that too.
I think you guys should be accountability partners and push each other each week. And that's what I really push for in Success Engineers, my group, is every week I say, okay, pick an accountability partner, get it on a call with somebody, and then challenge each other to get something done that terrifies you. And at the end of the week, you know, have your second call and just recap. Hey, I did it or I didn't do it. This is why. I'll tell you guys, I have real fears. And what I mean by that is, at times I've been given opportunities to like interview millionaires, and I still get squirrely in my stomach talking to them. I'm doing well, but I'm still not, you know, financially independent. Like, but I mean, when you sign 5-figure contracts with people, they expect you to deliver, and they are not messing around. And I'm at the point now where I've signed a few of them, and it's good. I'm very grateful, but it's also like, okay, Rob, you have to perform, man. You're Jordan at the, you know, the championship finals. You got to deliver. And if you don't, there's lawsuits and there's loss of reputation and there's all this stuff. So, you know, I have fears just like everybody else, but I'll tell you, do the things that really sometimes will challenge you if you don't know there's a chance of success. You know, when I started my magazine, people said, hey, it's a stupid idea. Hey, nobody's going to read it. Hey, you're never going to be able to monetize it. It's a waste of time. And I went for it anyway because I believed in it. I had faith in it, and I had that passion for it. And now I'm at this point where I just put up a post about, hey, that magazine's coming. We have some features and some ads for sale if you want to be featured in it. Like the last issue I just put out, dude, we almost cleared $2,000 in sales, and it blew my mind. I was like, wow, this is where I'm at now. I'm at this point where people believe in this magazine. They've seen it for 4 years. They've seen me interviewing like Delta Force and SEAL Team 6 and some really like high-end people, and they want to be a part of it. And it just goes to show we all create our destinies, and we all can do whatever we want to do. You have to have the courage to take that chance. And if something does make you a little terrified or a little sick, just run with it. There's not downside for most things that people fear. And that's the bottom line. So Bradley, let me ask you, what's the thing you know you want to do within the next 2 months, project-wise, income-wise, life-wise, whatever, that you're kind of putting off, kind of hesitating, but it would make you feel amazing if you did it?
Well, right now what I'm working on is learning how to edit better. Because what right now is we've kind of got it split up to where I'm editing videos for promos and making everything better, and I am just kind of stumbling all the way through it. And I don't know, it's kind of difficult and scary at the same time for me.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Have you ever just Googled how to edit videos or gotten some kind of training or a primer and just looked
all
at like
the time.
Top editing tips?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. YouTube is my friend right now. Google's my friend. It's like, what do I do? Oh crap.
I love it because I'm at that point. I'll tell you guys, my YouTube videos, right? in the last month or two, I made like 4 small tweaks, and just the reception I get now is far better. The views are higher. And it was small things, Bradley. So just keep it up, man, because we start off at a certain skill set or aptitude with anything. And as we learn these things, as we emulate others that are at a certain level, as we ask for questions for help, we do that self-learning, that autodidactic learning, our skill levels get a lot better. And so my YouTube video, for example, I have a custom graphic template, and it just looks a lot better. It's got the title, whatever my video is about. I use it as like the thumbnail now. And then I have like a custom graphic that pops up whenever you watch the video. It's got like some little fireworks or some shit. And just the whole thing is a lot cleaner. And then I learned to make my own playlist. I learned to use that pinned post for like my website or an offer. It's all these little things. And now I'm doing 1 video a week. I'll probably start doing 3. But I learned everything from this woman named Liz Germain that I saw here in San Diego. And she is a freaking wizard at YouTube. And she knows how to get like millions of views on videos. And I just watch some of her free stuff. And so, yeah, man, just keep going, keep working on them skills. Because I didn't know how to make a magazine 4 years ago. I had no journalism degree. I just Googled it and I taught myself. I thought, this is a cool thing. And I learned how to do it for free. But yeah, just keep at it, man.
You know, funny enough, for you say that, me and Kevin, this was kind of our brainchild of almost 2 years of thought going, we should do this. And then, you know, my girlfriend, his wife goes, that sounds stupid. And we're like, yeah, it probably is stupid. And then we finally went, you know what, let's do it and let's see what happens. And we got the YouTube channel started up. And then we went, you know, I think we were talking about podcasts and how we were tired of people just kind of hammering information down your throat. And we're like, we should like make a podcast that just random guys just talking to guys that are in positions of influence and just talk to them and just kind of be in depth and go wherever it goes. And who cares who likes it? Because maybe they're going to like it. Maybe we're going to suck at it. And then like the next week we got Dave Daly on our first episode and went, here we go.
Yeah. And I'll now that I'm a part of this and I know what you guys are doing, I will send you a few people. Heck
yeah. Awesome.
So, yeah, if you dig Dave Daly, I've got a couple people. I mean, obviously you can't top the Monster Motivator, but you know, I got a few people that love to be part of this that probably bring some real good energy. So yeah, that's the thing is that people won't always share the vision, and they mean well, but they think you're going to waste your time. They think it's not going to be anything. But I'll tell you right now, you know, when you show up and you're like, oh, hey, we made $1,000 with this episode. And they're going to be like, oh, so we can eat at Red Lobster tonight. Okay, keep doing the podcast. Change tune real quick when you get some results. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's our future, to be honest. I mean, we've been talking with somebody about monetizing and stuff like that, and he's been helping us along the way because, let's be honest, we don't know what we're doing.
So I just did a YouTube video. I don't even know if I sent this to you, but I did a YouTube video on how to get sponsors. It's very short. It's like 8 minutes, and it's very effective.
Nice.
So I can send it to you over Messenger later. But
cool.
I've been getting a lot of new podcasters reaching out to me and like, hey, man, how do I monetize this? Because believe it or not, guys, there's like 8 ways you can monetize a podcast. And it's stuff you wouldn't think of. And so I really get into it in the video because believe it or not, a magazine is very similar to a podcast as far as like the features you can offer and like how to do a bundle package and all this different stuff. And so the strategies I've used to monetize Shift Magazine, actually, most of them will work for a podcast, even though it's 2 different mediums, you know, visual versus audio. But yeah, I'll help you guys with this. And that's the thing. You have to be able to do the work. You have to be able to really think about what you're doing, and you have to have like goals. You have to have actual income goals. Like, okay, within 2 episodes, we need to make $200 just to do it, just to actually like close some deals, talk to some people, you know, get some interest. And I'll tell you guys right now, the 2 things that are going to affect the yeses for sponsors are a branded graphic, okay, a very nice branded graphic with both your pictures, your logo, and then, something about the podcast, and then something in the background, like a cityscape or Utah or something related to the podcast. So that's the first one, is branded graphic. The second one, every third episode, interview a celebrity. You need someone at the Dave Daly level.
I like it.
Those are the two things, man. I'm telling you right now, because that's what draws your crowd. So with Shift, we have a formula where everybody that gets a cover is at a certain level of achievement, and it's a pretty high level. I don't just put on just anybody. And if someone wants to come and buy the cover, it's like $5,000, and I have had some offers. But ultimately, I try and have a cover that brings a big audience, and then I interview like one or two people that are kind of middle ground, like where I'm at, a little bit recognizable, like they're kind of on social media a few times, but not famous. And then one or two people I have in the magazine completely unknown, like just starting off or just need that first interview, whatever. And I hook them up. I mean, it's what I would want someone to do for me. And it's a good stepping stone. So like I said, with a podcast, it's coming out regularly. Every third person, just get a big name and don't be scared of anybody. Just reach out and just tell them your story and let them know you'll promote them. And, just make those friendships, man. I've learned so much just from reaching out to celebrities. I've got like a 90% yes rate just because I reach out to them and I explain the value proposition, and very few of them actually turn me down. Kimra Luna is the only one that turned me down back in the early days because she didn't feel the magazine met her brand design standard. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, she's never getting another offer again. So later.
The biggest one I think we've reached. Oh, he gone.
Come on, man.
Got a refill.
Yeah, exactly.
The biggest one that we've reached out to, and we had them interested, and then I freaking tanked it, was Kerwin Ray. But we'll get him on.
Yeah, and it's make that list and circle back. And sometimes someone can't do it because maybe it's a season or maybe they got something going on. But definitely circle back if the relationship's good and if they're cool and they're talking. In my course, Tactical CEQ, we already went through the how to recruit celebrities, right? And so this is hilarious. One of the guys taking the course, Evan Derv, I asked them, I'm like, okay, who do you guys want to reach out to? Like, who would be your dream person? And they name off two guys I've never heard of. I go to Google, I email both of them. I get a response back with a yes for an interview in one day. And these are not like small people. These are very successful people. It's like Brad Lee and Leah and Ed Milet. And Brad's people got back to me within one day. And
I've heard of Ed.
I've heard of Ed. I haven't heard of Brad.
Yeah, but both of them pretty high level. And just the fact that these guys could just throw these strange names at me and I could just be, okay, here we go. Write that pitch, just get on the radar and offer value, and boom, one day. So that you talk about proof of concept, and that's what you guys need to do. Just make your dream list. Like, hey, he would be really cool to interview, or she did this or that. But once you start getting those names, you got to understand, every time you have somebody with a giant audience, make sure they know, hey, we'd love some promotion on social media, share this episode. And that's how you're getting your followers every freaking time. And that's something I've learned with Shift is if you have those people at that certain level, you're going to be clipping audience members left and right.
Yeah. My wife asked me once when me and Kevin got done with an episode, she goes, how do you get these people to, how are you not afraid to talk to them? I go, I think we're too stupid to be afraid. I think that's really the thing is, well, that guy looks important. Let's talk to him.
What's funny, though, is I added somebody or something. I don't know what happened. But all of a sudden, he's laughing. He already knows. So I started talking to, like, one dude, and then all of a sudden my Facebook just explodes. It was like, this person sent you a friend request. This one did. This one, this. Yeah. And I went from, like, 200 friends on Facebook to, like, 8 in, like, a week.
That's amazing.
I have no idea what I did, but my phone just like went nuts.
Yeah,
you buttholes almost broke my phone. No, I'm just kidding.
It's an after effect because I do the same thing. So let's say that I give a guest training in somebody's Facebook group, like, I'll have 20 requests immediately and recognize the names. And that's the way it works. That's why I say get as many interviews as you can, do as many guest trainings as you can, because people are going to gravitate to you if you come across as cool and interesting. Liz Germain, Marshall Gillen had an event. I went and I watched her YouTube presentation. I was like, this girl knows her stuff and she's amazing. She lives here. She's local. And so I friend requested her instantly. Now she's got a fan. And it's just the way it goes. If you are a compelling personality, if you're fun, outgoing, you have good energy, people will find you and they will want to, view your stuff.
We try to be interesting. Doesn't work. We just laugh at ourselves a lot and that works.
I mean, yeah, that's basically it, is we laugh at each other and then we just try to get information because it's like, we don't know how to do this podcast format. Like we have one scripted question and that's it, because that's the only good question we've come up with. But every time we ask it, it blows the person's mind.
I think it's actually better sometimes, because unscripted just means you can go in directions that people won't expect.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, okay, so I'll give you the scripted question.
Yeah.
In your personal idea, what is success to you?
Success to me is freedom and balance. And I'll explain what I mean by that. For me personally, I get crazy if I work in a cubicle. I know that I'm way too nuts to ever have a boss. And the ability, entrepreneurship, like what I love about it is the freedom that on a Thursday, I can go to the beach and eat a fish taco and have a Corona at 2 in the afternoon. While everybody else is in an office, working for somebody they hate, begging for a raise, hoping they get their raise, and not having control over their life so that they can just retire one day at 65 and wonder where their life and their freedom went. And I would rather take the chance, take 3-4 years of my life where I'm just doing okay, slow incremental growth, but I can do anything I want and nobody is telling me what to do. Nobody has any power over me. So that's freedom. Balance is about being able to have a good work life, a career that you're working towards, but also family time, friends time, a little bit of fun. I'm 43, so I'm not partying as much as I used to, but I like the fact that if I want to, I live in San Diego, I can go do a lot of fun things. I went to a comedy show 2 weeks ago, and it was something called Secret Comedy, where they don't even tell you like who's on it or where it's at until you buy the ticket, and then you just go to it, right? It's like an impromptu. They just set up. It's like a carnival. They just set up. They're there for one night. They get a bunch of comedians in. You watch the show and you leave, and it's bring your own bottle, which was awesome. So I go and check this out. I met like 5 comedians. They made, I'm the only military guy in the audience, clearly, big Air Force shirt, big scowl on my face. And they're making fun of me left and right, which is amazing. And so one of the guys became—
Well, don't sit in the front row, dude.
Yeah, I was in the front row.
That's your first mistake.
You were brutal. I so had it coming. But one of the guys really liked my stuff. I was talking to him. And then now I'm doing some business stuff for him because I have a formula for comedians that helps them to grow, believe it or not. But yeah, freedom and balance. And so that's what success is to me, Bradley, for me, it's not about money. Like we think about success and like, oh, we all want the Lambo. We all want, 6-7 figures, whatever. And the girls in bikinis, all stuff. For me, honestly, the fact that I can make an income doing what I love, serving my audience, and having people's lives genuinely get better because of the goofy knowledge I've accumulated, that makes me feel amazing. And that's why I think I've had this rise, because I've just been able to get better at what I do and just constantly tweaking the results, man. But freedom and balance, that's it.
I like it.
I like it.
What's funny is like half the people just like immediately know the response, but like the other half that we've interviewed went, shit.
Well, it's a great question, first of all, and it's it's going to be different for everybody. Some people want that Scrooge McDuck vault so they can go swimming and backstroking and coins and cash, and for me, I want to earn according to what I create for people. So if I don't have results for someone, I can't honestly charge them $750 an hour. Yeah. So that's always the thing right now. My biggest thing is popularity versus results, because a lot of entrepreneurs out there are very popular and are not good at what they do. And we're talking the gurus, the influencers. A lot of people are not results focused. They're just income focused. They're like, hey, I'm going to sell every person in this room and we're going to get them enrolled in the program. And I'm just never going to talk to them again. I'm going to turn them over to a flunky. This happens a lot. And for me, I need those repeat customers. I'm not at that point where people are expendable. And I go back to the people I've worked with that have paid me money, even from a year or two ago. And I'm like, hey, were your results good? You know, did you make a bunch of sales? Can I help you with the magazine? Like when somebody signs on with me, even if it's just like a $47 ebook sale, I will go back and I will check on them. I'll say, what do you need? Because I'm still at that point where I'm not big enough yet to where I can still track everybody and I can still check in. And I think that's the real difference of why people work with me, because I will come back 2 years later and just say, hey, how's your business going? I'm checking up on you. I care about you. And it's more of a business friendship. This sounds weird, guys. I'm going to admit something real crazy to you. I have downsold to 4 people. I've literally said, hey, you could buy the $2,000 tax EQ program, but really all you need is a $750 consulting call. Here's the difference of what you're going to get. And I've talked my way out of money. And I think that's the reason that people trust me, is because I have ethics, because I'm not going for the biggest sale I can get. I'm going for the best result I can get for someone.
See, and that's one thing that really drew me towards you is you have all of this knowledge and you're more than happy to share it. And like you had told me, because I had the idea I was going to write this book and that whole thing, whatever. But you had said, yeah, I'll help you go through it and this and that. And all I ask is you buy one of mine. You were like, I'll help you get it published and everything. And I was just like, what? Like that's crazy from a business perspective, but for building a culture, I think that that's incredible. And I think that it's really admirable that you're willing to do stuff like that.
Thanks, man. I actually gave my first refund a while ago, and I'm going to tell you guys a story I've never told anybody. This just recently happened, like a month ago.
This happens a lot on our podcast. We're doing
it's like every time I'm going to tell you a story, no one knows. Yes.
Yeah. So I always pride myself on having this perfect track record, right, of working with people. Nobody's ever complained. Nobody's ever wanted a refund. And so a guy hired me. We did it was another Air Force vet, and he hired me when I was in the Middle East to write him an ebook and do a funnel and like get it out there, some sales, blah, blah, blah. And so we brought in another person. The ebook gets written. I give it to him, but we never actually launched. We never actually made sales. And then after I got back from the Middle East, we barely talked for like a year. We had some conversations, but it never like got brought up, and I forgot about it. I mean, it's just the way that things go sometimes. And so I did this Facebook post on ethics and integrity, and this guy just pops up out of nowhere and just says, hey, what about that project we were working on? Where did my $697 go? You know, I got the ebook, but we never took it anywhere. And I was like, oh man, he got me. And so as soon as I was able to, like, it took about 2 weeks, and I told him it would take 4 weeks, and it took 2, but I gave him a 100% refund. I gave him the ebook, and I gave him a graphic I had paid for to sell it. And he got the best deal on earth, and that's fine because I dropped the ball and I recognize that. But guess what? I still have a perfect record because no one can ever say Rob ripped me off. No one can ever say, hey, Rob took my money, didn't deliver any of this stuff. And I'm real proud of that. But it's I got a pie shoved in my face because of my own actions, because I didn't quite deliver everything. And that's it's important to me because here's an interesting business philosophy. Let's say Bradley comes to me. He likes my stuff. I sell him a super expensive package. It doesn't get him the results he wants though. He signs on to learn how to do a digital course, and we make the course. He pays me like, $700. The course only sells like 150. So he's pissed off. He is never going to work with me again if I burn him and I don't listen to his complaints and I don't listen to his results or his performance. And that's what a lot of these entrepreneurs are doing. I'm not going to name names, but it's very prevalent to make as many sales as you can. And once that sale's made, boom, the guru, the influencer, whoever disappears. Bradley is stuck with this subpar program. He's not making money. He's not sure what's going on. And now almost no one can help him. Is he going to buy from me ever again? No. Now he's going to give me a 1-star on Yelp. He's going to go on Facebook and say, Rob the Warrior Strategist ripped me off. This guy sucks, blah, blah, blah. He's going to burn me to everyone he knows. And I'm just out there trying to get the next 5 to 10 suckers. You cannot run a business like that and keep your reputation. You cannot. And that's why I'm so like focused on the Rob experience, like making sure it's great.
I like that. I like that a lot. Because, yeah, I mean, you go through Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whichever you do. I mean, there's a ton of them out there. And there's a lot of negatives and a lot of positives around them. You don't see a lot of positives just with one person, too.
Yeah, it's I focus, I look at the Facebook ads. That's the biggest thing. And I'm just like, wow, all these guys are doing is just trying to sell courses to desperate people. And one thing you almost never see is actual client results. And that is the medium of success. So if you ask me, hey, Rob, what are your client results? Okay, well, Kurt Balish, I got him on the front page of the paper, and he got 6 months of orders for his woodworking company. He had to like, yeah, he just went nuts, like trying to fulfill them because he got this giant influx, right? Brian Wright, I got him on the front page of the paper. Sorry, Brian King, not Wright. Brian King, I got in the front page of the paper in like 2 hours. Patrick Kirby took Taxi EQ, modeled his own course with my permission after it, $7,000 in sales from his course. Jen Shaw, she took my course. I convinced her to create a yoga course of her own, $2,000 in 2 weeks in sales. So the results are there. And if I don't get the results, I don't take the money. I will give people's money back, and I have a refund policy in every single contract. And I think I'm bringing back integrity and ethics in business. And I'm not trying to like toot my own horn, but it's one of those things. Like I couldn't live myself if I made somebody poor or they're, spending their freaking rent money to work with me and I'm not delivering. Like that's the way I look at it.
I like that a lot.
I mean, that's how it should be, really, in the end.
It should be, man. But people get greedy. They don't. Some of them aren't ready for success. I know a few veterans out there that got successful very quick, didn't have the infrastructure in place, and then a lot of people were unfulfilled, unsatisfied, didn't get what they wanted. And so that's something I always think of too. So let's say one day I get on Big Fox, right? Fox News. Overnight, I'm a success, or I get on Tim Ferriss's podcast. So something happens where Rob the Warrior Strategist all of a sudden now has 100 orders waiting. And so what do you have to do? You have to create a team. You have to create an organizational structure. You have to figure out where you're at. You have to be ready for these orders, and you have to prioritize rack and stack. I've seen 3 people get so much business because of something, some random thing, whatever. They hit the jackpot. They weren't ready. And then they let a lot of people down, and 2 of them are not in that business anymore. And it's a scary thing. You think, wow, that's the litmus test. Like that's what we all want is, the overnight success. But if you aren't ready for it and you don't have the backup, the infrastructure, you're going to drown. And people need to, keep that in mind too.
Yeah, it makes sense. Because I mean, you had mentioned earlier about fear, and like one of my things is we're going to start monetizing this, and my big fear is I'm not going to deliver. You know what I mean? And like we start getting into stuff, and I'm like, crap, I'm not ready. But then I'm like, wait, no, I'm good. I'm ready. I'm just getting into my own head. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And dude, I'm going to get real honest with you guys. I've had a couple glasses of wine, but I mean, I fear homelessness. I fear not being able to make rent at times. As entrepreneurs, a lot more of us are on the roller coaster than you would think.
Yep.
And it's not always fun and games. Like I've been very fortunate. I've had some very big clients lately. I'm doing okay. But like I said, I'm not quite at that level where it's completely steady yet. I have like 11 income streams and I have to work my ass off to keep them. But I get it, man. And really all you have to remember if you have that fear is if you don't deliver for somebody, refund their money. Good to go. And no one can ever fault you for that. Just make sure that you have good contracts for anything over $500. Make sure that deadlines are strictly enforced. You know, I reviewed a contract today of a 5-figure client, and I'm like, okay, this is due in 5 days. I need to get on this. But as long as you're tight with dates, you have a calendar, you're marking off stuff. You're like, I owe this person this by this date. You'll be fine. You know, just keep each other. The good thing is about you guys, there's 2 of you, right? You can keep each other accountable. You can talk about this stuff. You can have these calls. Like, I'm way too much of a lone wolf, and I need to get somebody that my accountability partner. I hired a coach today. Like, I hired a performance coach. I'm going to give her a try. It's somebody I met at a business meeting. She's got it together. And that's my own accountability, because I'm at that point where I'm ready to take some pretty big steps, and I've caught myself stopping. Dude, I was asked to be interviewed by a pretty famous person in San Diego, and I still haven't followed up on it. And that's the point where that's my own internal fears kicking in. Because when you grow up, how'd you guys grow up? Let's ask an honest question. Did you guys grow up with money, or were you stable, middle class, what?
So we actually grew up 3 streets away from each other.
Yeah.
So, myself, cool. Single mom, she did her best. I mean, we'll be honest.
Yeah.
I had what I needed and some of the stuff I wanted, but not. I mean, it wasn't a cush life, no silver spoon or anything like that. I'd say middle class.
Okay.
I'd have to say the same. Grew up with a mom that, liked to work with her hands. Grew up with a Marine Corps dad.
That must have been cool, or at least different.
He says,
parts of it were cool.
He says cool.
My dad, don't get me wrong, but Staff Sergeant Coy is the scariest motherfucker you're ever going to see. I got driven into the wall more than once for saying something wrong to my mom.
But do you feel it made you a better man?
Oh, yeah.
Because my grandfather only had an 8th grade education, Navy vet, served on a Pacific carrier in 45. When I was in 8th grade once, I smarted off the dinner table. He punched me in the back, and I was good till I was 21. And, some people are really against spanking your kids or corporal punishment. I'm like, that shit worked. I never got in trouble after that.
Yeah. But I'm of the same accord. I mean, we didn't have all the money, but we got to do things, and just kind of middle of the road. And I look back and I'm kind of happy for it, because I see all these people that had a cush life, and now they're adults and they're just killing themselves trying to get back to the cush life, where I'm going, okay, I've lived with money, I've lived without money, and I can kind of do it.
I want to add to that really quick.
Yeah.
I had a friend in high school who lived in Utah. The east side is the rich side. His dad owned a car dealership and some other stuff. And I appreciated everything I had, right? And this little fucker gets a brand new Camaro in high school.
Oh, I remember this guy.
And he was the biggest dick. He treated everything he had like shit. And everything that I've kind of observed, and it's not with him specifically, but it seems like everyone that has everything handed to them, for some reason, seems to think that life is this game that they can just tiptoe through and whatever, and they end up in fucking jail or dead or broke. You know what I mean? They don't have any appreciation or dedication to actually make themselves better, because they were just handed everything.
They've never been challenged is the problem, and they can treat life like it's frivolous. So, whenever I went to school with some 16-year-old rich girl who wrecks her car, and the next day her dad's got her a new car, she's never going to learn. And so the reason why I asked you guys this question is because for some of us that grow up without a lot of money, I grew up, I'm very public about this. My mom had a serious drug addiction. She was a cook, just did the best she could, raising this shithead kid in some awful logging town. And she partied a lot. I moved 16 times from 1st grade to 11th grade. And so I knew a lot of kids that were worse than I was. I try not to complain about it or dwell on it, but these things get in your head. And so they create, you know, when you run into adults that are super cheap, or they have money blocks, or they really like have these poverty mindsets, it's a lot of times it's childhood stuff. And so for me, I have to fight these demons every damn day because, you know, I grew up in ninth grade in this hoarder house, floor to ceiling clothes, junk, yard sale stuff, cockroaches, rats. Child Protective Services should have snatched me from my family a few times in my life. And it was very challenging, man. And so as an adult, to get over that shame and to actually have some money and get a PhD and be recognized, I won a business award a while ago. It's just all this stuff super surreal for me. And I need to think like a wealthier person and accept this success into my life, this money into my life, to not be angry at rich people, not be envious. You know, it's these little things, because this is how we elevate ourselves. And so that's why this apartment was such a win for me, because I'm in Qatar. You know, my mom dies of cancer halfway through, and I just go through the hardest struggle I've ever gone through. And just the Qatar experience was just shit, because every single day I was getting yelled at. And it's just the team there was really bad for what I was doing. But I mean, it was Qatar. I'm not, you know, not a combat vet or anything. I'm not complaining on that level, but it was just very challenging, very negative. And so in my mind, you know, like Shawshank, I had this vision of like what my life should have been like what I wanted it to be when I come back to San Diego. And so I started looking at apartments with floor to ceiling windows. I wanted a New York style apartment with a lot of light and someplace I could be creative and run my companies and really have a fun time, man. And just finally feel like I made it. And so I saved up a bunch of money, you know, tax-free Qatar, and master sergeant in the Air Force. You know, you're getting that base allowance housing, like all this stuff. And so saved up all my money, came back. And just the fact that I could move into a place like this and be able to host parties still trips me out. I've been here a year now, and I live in a nice building that's like 3 years old. I live above a gourmet restaurant, and I'm still having trouble accepting this. And it's just that thing, man. You guys always have to be up leveling in your mind. You have to do the things that will get you to that next level of income, that next level of what's it like to make $10,000 in a day. Maybe I should hire a coach. Maybe I should start reaching out to more successful people that are way up the ladder than me. So moving into this apartment, you know, I checked out like 4 places, and this one just spoke to me. And so, you know, I did the panoramic a little earlier, but I wake up and I just trip out. Like I have never, ever lived in what I would call a nice place and had space and had high ceilings and all this stuff. And it's just, I'm immensely grateful, but it's still weird. And I think all of us need to really think, okay, what's our next level? Maybe it's not a bigger house. You guys probably have houses and you guys are probably satisfied, but maybe it's hosting a business event. Maybe it's doing something with the Chamber of Commerce. Maybe it is, you know, it could be anything. Always be thinking about up leveling though. You know, what's my next step? I'm not moving out of this place for at least 4 years. I freaking love it here. But for me, it's going to be a blue Porsche, and then it's going to be 2 events a year in San Diego. And I'm talking big ones. I've done one event, 5-figure sales. But it was a fluke. We got pretty lucky. I partnered up with somebody that's a pretty good name, and we made it happen. But I want to be that guy that teaches business strategies. I want to be known in San Diego like Tony Robbins was a long time ago when he pretty much owned San Diego, you know, in his earlier years. And I don't need to be a guru. I don't need to be an influencer. I just want to be the person where people walk into the event and they come out a better person making a lot more money. That's who I want to be.
I love it.
I like it.
So what's your plan to get there?
Well, I hired a performance coach today. I'm going to be talking to Sean Douglas and probably hiring him as well. Because I've got this crazy network, dude, and I'm grateful for it. You know, I have income streams coming in from different directions, but now I'm at that point where I need to hire a small team. I need to delegate the small stuff like emails and social media. And I'm at that point where I need to not be doing everything. The magazine for 4 years, I do the entire thing except for the cover. So it's a 30-page magazine. I do all the interviews. I do all the layouts. I do the digital binding. I do the marketing. I do the ads, the entire thing. And once in a while, I bring on guest writers. So this time, I did something different. So for this issue, I hired 2 ladies to come over, and both of them wrote 3 articles in one day. I paid them a contractor fee, and we got, most of the issue done in one day, which is unheard of. And so the biggest thing is just understanding like at what level you have to hand over tasks, because the focus should be automation and delegation to where all you're doing is talking to your operations managers and you're not doing the small stuff. You're not worrying about everything. You created this competent team that is profitable and bringing in money, and all you're doing is talking to operations managers and not like having to do 1,000 things a day. So that's how I'm doing this. I'm setting bigger income goals. And I'm really working on identifying the small quirks that keep me from doing stuff. Bradley, you ever put anything off that you know you need to do?
Oh yeah.
You made him jump.
I like to, because I don't know him as well. Like I like to kind of throw these questions out there, flip the script a little bit. Like, hey, dude, what's going on?
I mean, I don't know, for a year and a half now, I've been taking. I work at a sewer plant, and they have different operator levels, and each level has a higher paying grade. Well, I've taken the same test 7 times and gotten 69 6 times. A 70 is the passing grade. And everybody's like, well, what are you doing wrong? I don't know. And everybody's like, well, do you study? 3 of the times I did. Well, what'd you do? Kind of put it to the side.
So, dude, I love that, first of all, because I can relate to it. Because in the Air Force Reserve, I'm still in, I could be a 7 striper. I could put on that next stripe. I have to learn 1,500 pages of material and take 3 tests. It's gnarly. And it would affect my retirement. It would get me more money every month. It's, once you make Master Sergeant, that's a giant jump in status, housing, the whole 9. But once I get this next rank, it's pretty much guaranteed to me. I just have to pass these tests. So I get you. What you have to do, you have to imagine the end result. You have to visualize passing this test, and you have to just buckle down. Even the material sucks. And trust me, mine sucks. It's psychology, management, leadership, theory, written by a bunch of civilian psychologists. I don't give a shit. None of this is going to help me in my job, but we have to train for the fight, and it doesn't wrap around us. We wrap around it. And so if this would affect your life in a positive way, and, your significant other would be proud of you, and you'd make more money, and it would affect your life in a better way, and you'd get, higher up the ladder, man, just sit down and focus on this. Just do an hour a day, whatever you got to do. Maybe talk to some people that have passed this test. My last book was on speed learning, so it's just these little things. But if your subconscious and your actual mind is telling you, I don't want to do this, and it's fighting and kicking and clawing, you're not going to want to learn this. But if you set up a mindset where you're like, oh, wow, the end result is more money and more status and better jobs and better opportunities, it becomes a little bit more tolerable. I hated doing math in 8th grade. And I'd go into, my grandmother set up my study room, and I would just listen to Metallica and, do the best I could. But I had immense troubles with focus. And even as an adult, man. So I'm just saying, you got to ask yourself, are you satisfied where you're at now? I mean, you're at 69, dude. You don't have very far of a journey to go.
Right. Yeah, that's one thing that my wife has sat down with me and we've talked about, because I study for about 30 minutes a day, because that's all I can really focus on.
Yeah.
And she goes, you push me so hard for my schooling, because she's going to get her master's degree.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because I know you want it. She goes, well, you don't push yourself that hard. I go, I push myself to as far as my brain will allow me. And she goes, well, that sounds stupid. I go, yeah, because after 30 minutes, I'm like, what did I read? I literally didn't read anything.
So even if it's garbage, this is what I did. And this sounds insane, but it got me a PhD. So I used colors and I used pictures. And so if you sit down with graph paper and colored pencils, and you're studying this material and you're just taking notes, you're writing down, that could be a study question, and you write it down. And maybe you draw a goofy picture. Because I'm telling you right now, I found this picture in my storage unit of when I was getting my PhD. It was it had a fighter jet, and I think it had a Minotaur riding a surfboard. And all it was a little map of all the classes I had to take to get my PhD. And it had all this goofy shit in it. But I'll tell you, man, 50% of the people dropped out of my program, and I have a PhD now. Okay, say what you will. If you have an unfocused mind, colors, diagrams, writing shit down, it all helps. Because it takes you to a different place where it's not just boring ass textbooks, it's not just stupid shit. And once you write stuff down, it cements in your subconscious brain a little bit more, and maybe you'll get that question, you'll remember, oh, that's the question that I wrote down when I drew a pirate ship next to it, or a Buck Rogers spaceship, or the Enterprise. Whatever your thing is, man. We all have our thing. Freaking, if you get to a different topic, make a Star Wars character for each one, and draw it. Whatever your thing is. Just saying, creativity makes studying so much more fun.
I like it. I'm gonna have to do it.
Man, that's the deepest we've ever gotten.
Mm-hmm.
It's important, man. It's obvious you're a creative. It's obvious you're a fun dude, and you just I'm right with you, man. I hate academia. I can't stand a boring classroom. I can't stand being lectured at by a teacher, because I either think about college chicks or skateboarding or video games within about 9 minutes, and it's just. I've been like this since 13. I'm not going to change.
Right. Well, and that's one thing that I try to do at work, because we've got a lot of construction going on, a lot of new stuff, and I mean, reading the book, I can't even tell you what I read yesterday, but if I can work on it and I can touch it, I can tell you exactly how it works tomorrow.
Kinesthetic/tactile learner. Yep. My PhD is in project-based learning, so I learned all the learning styles, and then I wrote the speed learning book to help other people to get through this stuff. But yeah, you need to assign colors, visual cues. You need to spruce it up to make it where it's a fun lesson.
Okay.
And you have to relate some real-world examples to it. So I hate this Air Force stuff. I can't stand it. So I make up analogies, I draw some pictures, I write out lessons, and I look for stuff that I'm like, okay, they will definitely ask me about that. And you start to get that mind where you're looking at stuff and you're like, okay, this is all fluff. This one might be an important piece of information. I mean, you've taken this test a few times. You know the format. So you know if it's going to be essay, multiple choice, fill in the blank, all that stuff. So that gives you some headway right there. I'm telling you, man, take notes. Review your notes, do a good cram session a couple days before the test. Do you work on test anxiety? Do you work on managing your stress before you go and take these tests?
I used to have a lot of test anxiety, but it was because I'd focus on the test. And okay. So a couple of days before I'll cram for it, and then the day before I don't even think about it. Because then when I go to it, I freak out about it.
Right. Because I was at a place where the Air Force sent me to these Link 16 schools, and this is computer networking stuff. I'm not a tech guy, and I was terrified. I was like, you guys can't send me. I failed out of high school. I failed out of 2 colleges. I'm dumb. I might have a PhD, but don't let that fool you. It's just because I'm too stupid to quit. And so they sent me to Fort Bragg. The reserves are paying all this money for this, and I created my own little routine, and I did study groups. I did everything I didn't do in high school and college. I did study groups. I made all these diagrams. I wrote tons and tons of notes and really stayed focused on the notes and read them and understood what they meant. And then in the day of the test, to manage my stress, I would do deep breathing that somebody taught me, where you just do a couple of very deep inhalations. Don't go crazy because you'll hyperventilate, but just 5 times. I would do jumping jacks, cold shower, alpha brain, and then I would listen to Guns N' Roses' Paradise City as I was driving to the classroom. I passed every test first time for the first class, the second class, actually the third class. I made it through three out of 4 classes, and the 4th one was advanced in Las Vegas. I made it all the way to the end and got a 60 on my final eval. But the point is, I should have flunked real hard, but I managed my stress. I thought about the end result. I made it kind of fun. And then I just did different stuff. But you got to get yourself in that mindset, and you have to tell yourself positive stuff too. That's a big one. Don't be like, I'm going to fail this, or I'm worried about it. No, man, just walk in there like Too Short. Just walk in like a player. Like you own this, you've done this, you're experienced. Think about, you have to create visualizations of how your life is going to be better when you pass this test. That's what's going to get your mind focused. Like I said, your internal subconscious, if it's fighting you, you are not going to pass this test. If your internal subconscious is like, I want my life to be better. I want to pass this damn thing. I want to make more money. I want my wife to be proud of me. I want all this stuff. Good to go.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Now you know why I love Rob so much.
Yeah.
Because I'm a lunatic that sits in the dark drinking wine? Yeah.
It's all good. I ran out.
The first time Kevin ever told me about you was when he went to the meltdown in the desert. And I'm still, to this day, and I probably will be until I die, I'm extremely butthurt that he got to go and I didn't. And everybody asks, why are you butthurt about that? I go, there was so much information that I wasn't a part of, and I wanted to be a part of it. And now, we're talking to a bunch of people, we're getting all the information, and some episodes it's like, okay, you got to stop with the information, my brain hurts.
Yeah.
It's funny on that note, we actually listen to every episode that we record probably, me personally, probably about 10 times so that I can reprocess everything that went through.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to help you guys out with something amazing. You take the best 5 episodes that you've ever done, you make an ebook out of it, you sell it for $97, and there's your monetizable product at the end of every year. $1,000 easy.
I like it.
Jesus.
All right. I never even thought about that.
Nobody ever does. And so what you do is you get a sound clip from everything. You find one meaningful sentence out of, or maybe 3 out of, a couple of interviews that you've done. You make a little preview video and like, hey guys, check this out. We took our top 5 or 10 interviews from the year. These pros, these guys that are doing whatever, Rob the Warrior Strategist, and he taught us some ways of monetization, ways to pass tests, blah, 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 and then you just pop that bad boy out as an ebook, $87, $97, whatever, put a cool graphic on it, spring for a great cover, cost you $30 maybe, and then just get it out there. But this is what I teach. And one thing I teach, I'm going to give you guys a real gold bar. One thing I teach is take your Facebook Lives whenever you do one that's like super powerful and like actually teaching techniques and information, crazy shit that's rare. Keep the link on a Microsoft Word document. And at the end of the year, like right now, I'm probably rocking 60 Facebook Lives that I can turn into an entire course. That's what Trish Lito calls repurposing. And nobody ever thinks about this. They're just like, oh, I'm just going to do a Facebook Live and teach some stuff. Oh, it went well, blah, blah, blah. And it just disappears in the ether. Well, guess what? That's a paycheck disappearing into the ether.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Income streams, guys. What you do is valuable. We're all creators of content. We all interview interesting people, and we can turn around and take that into something. Corey Poirier, his last book, all he did was just interview famous people. And he had like 60 people in his last book, did a crowdfunding venture for it, made a bunch of money. I was in it and released it. And it's just one of those things, man. You do not have to be famous. You can just reach out to people, say, hey, I'm writing a book. I'd love to have you in it. And guess how many people are going to say yes? Almost all of them, unless they're stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we are probably close to time here.
Cool. All right. So, I just want to say thank you both. I needed this on a personal level just to talk to some people today, some friends. And this has been an amazing experience because once in a while I do need just a hot wash just to relax and just talk with friends. And it's a good thing for me too. So thank you both.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you.
Thank
Now,
you for hopping on. I mean, we really appreciate it.
yeah, we'd love to have you back on again. A couple months down the road or whatever, we'd love to talk to you again.
Only if you send me that fancy gaming chair you're sitting in, because I'm very jealous.
Oh, this one?
Yeah, it looks like a racing seat. That's amazing.
You know what, though? Before you get that chair, you need a new bookshelf.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's from the old apartment. You know that bookshelf died, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And I remind you all the time.
Yeah, Mark Dudek too. Dudek loves that picture. Like Bradley might not know this. Like, so I have a picture at the old apartment. I have a bookshelf. It's literally, it looks like this. It's just filled with books. And eventually, it's an IKEA bookshelf. And eventually, I broke it because of all my military and my special ops books are on the top, like all the Navy SEAL books, and just it destroyed the bookshelf. So yeah.
He took a picture when it collapsed and tagged me in it. And he's like, "Hey, your dream came true."
Yeah, see, this is my wife's, and I get that spot. That's where my ammo goes. That's the only spot I get.
I love it. See, that's sturdy. Don't buy from the Swiss. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I am down. I'll send you a chair for you to come back on. That'd be great.
Oh man, I would love that. I gotta step up my chair game. All right, boys. Well, thank you so much. And let's talk business this week or next week. Reach out to me. Don't hesitate. And I'm not just saying that. You guys know I'm the real deal. Like, just reach out to me. I would love to show you like some ways to monetize, but set a goal to where you have an income goal for every episode. Set a goal to have X amount of sponsors by this date. Make this a thing. And look at podcasts that are branded well that you can emulate. Donnie Bovine is a great one to emulate. Kind of look at the way he's doing stuff. Jacqueline Paxton is unbelievable. But you guys have to make – this is what I do with the magazine, right? I bought 4 magazines, and I was looking at fonts, and I was looking at articles and how they're done. And you have to emulate someone until you can get to a level where someone's emulating you.